Land Acknowledgement. As we gather together, we acknowledge the sacred land on which we reside. It has been a site of human activity for 15,000 years. This land is the territory of the Huron-Wendat and Petun First Nations, the Seneca, and most recently, the Mississaugas of the Credit River. The territory was the subject of Dish with One Spoon Wampum Belt Covenant, an agreement between the Iroquois Confederacy and Confederacy of the Ojibwe and allied nations to peaceably share and care for the resources around the Great Lakes. Today, this gathering place is still the home of many Indigenous people from across Turtle Island, and we are grateful to have the opportunity to work in the community on this territory. We are also mindful of broken covenants and the need to strive to make right with all our relations. Last but certainly not least, we acknowledge the people of African descent who were brought here against their own will or in search of a safe place to live their lives and raise their children. Reconnaissance des terres. En nous rassemblant, nous reconnaissons la terre sacrée sur laquelle nous résidons. C'est un site d'activité humaine depuis 15 000 ans. Cette terre est le territoire des Premières Nations Huron-Wendat et Petun, les Séniques et plus récemment les Mississaugas de la rivière Crédit. Le territoire était sujet de l'alliance de la ceinture Wampum plat avec cuillère, un accord entre la Confédération Iroquois et Confédération des Ojibwe et des nations alliées à partager et à prendre soin pacifiquement pour les ressources autour des Grands Lacs. Aujourd'hui, ce lieu de rassemblement est toujours le foyer de nombreux peuples autochtones de toute l'île de la Tortue et nous sommes reconnaissants d'avoir la possibilité de travailler dans la communauté sur ce territoire. Nous sommes également conscients des alliances brisées et de la nécessité de nous efforcer de guérir toutes nos relations. Dernier point, mais non le moindre, nous remercions les personnes d'ascendance africaine qui ont été amenées ici contre leur volonté ou à la recherche d'un endroit sûr où vivre leur vie et élever leurs enfants.
Good afternoon, good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us at the BBPA Ask a Professional, where we meet here every single Wednesday to speak about industry topics for individuals and organizations, professionals. And I'm so glad that you've joined us today. Today, we have an excellent speaker who will be joining us. His name is Darace Rose. And Darace, if you don't mind, before I introduce you or have you join me on the virtual stage, I'd like to just take an opportunity just to say hello to everyone who has joined us today. All of our audience members, I see you. I can't get all your names at the moment, but I do see you. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule for joining us over your lunch hour. I am so pleased to have you. Once again, my name is Moy Fung. This is BBPA Ask a Professional. And as we celebrate Small Business Month, we are going to be discussing various topics about small businesses and how we can help to uplift the Black-owned businesses. Now, Darace, we've spoken before, and you are absolutely incredible. I'm so glad that you've taken time again to join us. Thank you so much. How are you feeling, Darace?
I'm feeling really well. I'm feeling great. I'm excited, always excited to talk to the community, and it's part of my community. And so I'm excited to talk about small tools and tips. It's also Cybersecurity Awareness Month as well, October. And so I'll put in a few tidbits for cybersecurity as well, because it's top of mind for me being the leader of a cybersecurity organization. But I'm always excited to meet with the community. This is where I kind of grew up, as you know, and so always a good day to speak to the community.
So you are a guru within your sphere, right? An expert is what I would call you. I'm just going to, if you don't mind, Darace, just read just a little snippet of your bio. I know it won't do you any justice, but you've just shared just a little bit about what you do. But if I can just have a moment just to share about how you are a seasoned right? So we forgot to mention that you're a seasoned leader with 20 years plus of experience. And at Oppos, which is your organization, you leverage your expertise in security frameworks and regulatory compliance to deliver robust services, including many of these I don't know, and I'm sure you'll take the time.
Yeah,
to,
artificial intelligence to
ex-
help with solve cybersecurity issues. And so yeah, I can kind of explain a little bit about what we do as well. Absolutely. Um, so
Absolutely.
so yeah, cybersecurity organization we started 5 years ago, leveraging artificial intelligence 5 years ago to help us in delivering services like penetration testing, policy generation, and just testing to make sure that people's infrastructures are secure and applications are secure. If you fast forward 4 years, we've taken on a significant investment from a US bank. We're moving the company to the United States in order to take advantage of the cybersecurity market down there, and started partnering with universities here in Canada to kind of impart that with the next generation of what we've built, our proprietary technology, with the University of Toronto, Mohawk College, Seneca. We're doing some professor courses there in AI and artificial intelligence and cyber, and hopefully within the community as well.
Absolutely. Now, what you've just said sounded incredible, for sure. There are many of us who are just, startups. We are grassroots organizations. Today, I think your presentation will do a great job at reflecting of why it's important for people like us, small businesses, to really to employ technology and cybersecurity into their organization. So without further ado, I'll give you the platform. You can share your screen, share your presentation, and then we'll open it up for question and answers afterwards. Is that okay with you?
That works well for me. Thanks again, Moy, for the introduction, and I will get started. Just before we start the presentation, I want to check two things. Can everybody see my screen?
We certainly can. And I'm just going to Darace, I'm so sorry for this, but if we can just share the link in the chat, we still have time to share with our family, friends, and colleagues. I believe this session will be entirely insightful, and sharing truly is caring. So please feel free to just share. We still have time. We have an hour with you, Darace, so we want to get the most of this time that we have with you, okay?
Absolutely. Yeah, I look forward to it. The other thing I would say is, while we're waiting for others to join, this presentation is designed to be completely interactive. I'm not intending to speak for the majority of this time, but I'm going to be looking to the participants to ask questions. If you didn't understand something I said, or if you wanted to hear more about something I've said, please don't hesitate to put your hand up. And Moy and team at the BPPA, if you can assist me, and if there's a question just stopping me, I will try to make a room at the end of every slide to ask if there are questions. And essentially, yeah, I want it to be very interactive as a session. Feel free to turn on your cameras. I love to look at people as well, instead of talking to a screen. And yeah, really excited to go. So just let me know when you'd like us to start, and we can get going.
Absolutely. You can go ahead and you can start your presentation. Thank you for that. I do love the interaction as well. Go ahead.
Yeah, for sure. Excellent. So today we're going to talk a bit about tools for business optimization. I do like to include cybersecurity threats and things that we can do to protect our organizations as well. I think it's pretty much commonplace now, in order for your organization to run without disruption, that you should be considering cybersecurity. If you're dealing with retail business, how customer information should be handled. There are laws changing in place. I saw somebody say hi from Montreal. There's a new law, I think it's called Bill 25, very big on privacy there. My team's issuing a paper on it actually for next month's blog. If you follow us on Oppos, we tend to talk about these things before they impact their communities. And so we're always looking for people to join our newsletter so you can be informed about these things. Bit about myself. So my name is Darace, as mentioned, been working in the industry now for about 24 years. Our company helps protect small to enterprise customers from cybersecurity threats and maintain their privacy programs as well as their regulatory compliance campaigns. So that would mean things like, if it means anything to you, like SOC 2, GDPR if you're working in Europe, FIPA or PIPEDA if you're working provincially. We kind of take care of your privacy and cybersecurity concerns so that business owners and our clients can run their business operations. I'm going to talk a little bit. Oh, any questions about myself, my background, cyber, any of that before moving on? All right. So business optimization. There's a couple of points here that I wanted to share based on my journey as an entrepreneur and founder. I believe that if you don't have a plan, you're planning to fail. I'm sorry to say it. I don't like planning, but I found that if you don't have one, you're always going to go back to this gap or blind spot, requiring a strategic point of direction. And you also need something to align your leadership team to, your employees to, and your client base. And so I think first things first, outline your business goals, even if they're lofty. I mean, in business school, they talk about things like big, hairy, audacious goals. They, think outside of the box. These are all great. Put it on a plan and start building. Even if it's a Google Doc or a sheet, you can actually start with bullet points of where you'd like to go. Now, with those goals, once they're put there as lofty goals, I suggest putting specific actionable items that you can put, and it's including time. So time box it 1 quarter, 6 months, 1 month, 1 week. I'm going to revisit this and complete this. It's very important to visualize very specifically where you're going, and then to create steps towards getting there from where you are to getting to that achievement. There's a book actually that I'd recommend everybody take a look at. It's called 0 to 1 by a gentleman named Peter Thiel. He's a co-founder of PayPal, similar to Elon Musk. They call them the PayPal Mafia. Just a term of endearment really in the tech industry for these guys and what they're able to do. But going back to Peter's book, not really a fan of Peter personally, but the book is very helpful in giving you strategies to go from, 0, which is, starting point, to where you'd like to end up. And it starts with 1 step at a time and just being consistent over being creative. So if you can consistently go back to your plan daily, every other day, or weekly, you will get progress, and over time you'll achieve your objectives. Leverage technology. Technology is changing every day. Like we mentioned earlier about our story and our journey, we use artificial intelligence, but there's many technologies that you can use to help optimize your business without having to hire headcount. We employ a lot of tech in our own company. We started from nothing, so we started with spreadsheets, and now we have other tools that we found to be quite innovative and helpful. I'll get into some of those tools as a part of my presentation today, but be open to it. And sometimes you have to spend a little bit of money to get that service that you need to actually optimize your business. It's not like we're looking to, not budget or be conscious of financials, but you should be open to spending a little bit of money to optimize your business. And the other thing is, a lot of the programs, at least the ones I'll be sharing, have startup programs. So let's say HubSpot, for example, or MailChimp, they have a program for startups that actually allows you to have less cost. Delegation is super important for founders, business owners, and everybody operating a retail business today. You have to be able to delegate to your team, your colleagues, your business partners, so that you can actually stay focused on the strategic objectives of the company. Time management also becomes a very important thing to be on top of. And again, these are the strategies that we're going through. And then lastly, I'll talk about business process outsourcing. If there's tasks within your business that are not adding to your core value proposition or adding dollars in the door, then I would strongly recommend figuring out if you need to do that at all. And if you do need to do it, it may be a task where you can outsource it to somebody who's a bit more experienced in that skill. Things like HR services, SEO optimization, and digital marketing. These are all areas where typically people may want to outsource when they're starting out. I'm just going to pause because I see there's a few. I'm just going to check the chat. Is there any questions there?
Currently, there are no questions, but what you've said is really great so far. I can't wait to hear more.
Excellent. Okay, so moving on. So just want to talk a little bit about the importance of marketing and starting your marketing plan before you actually have a product or service ready to launch in the market, because it can help inform where you should be going in the market, your entry to that market, and as well give you insights that you don't have to pay for, essentially, right? So reaching out into the community, trying to build an ecosystem online, networking in places like the BPPA, so you can get, I'd say, insight from other business owners. There are other organizations focused on our community as well, like CAMC and just meetups, essentially. So you can gather more information and get a base before actually spending $1 of your own revenue or budget. Leverage social media platforms like Facebook and Instagram to promote your business and business idea, and see how many people are actually reaching out to you. And when they do reach out to you, try to engage with them. I think your first 100 clients are actually your business partners, because they help shape the productization of your product or the service that you're delivering to them. Get their feedback, create user groups of those communities so that you can actually have like your ear to the ground when you launch your service or your product into the market. I believe in ads. Once you found your target, what we call ideal customer profile, it's important to advertise to those communities online. You'll find that maybe retail, you'll have a limited market because it's how many people can get to your location or be mailed to your location. But if you go online, now the door opens up, the addressable market opens up to a much larger base of customers that also will help to shape how you deliver that product digitally. The reason why digital products and digital marketing is so important is because of the scale of the market that you can actually obtain and capture. And then partner with other similar businesses, right? You can go to aggregators of your service. You can become entered onto a marketplace that allows people that are already coming to a digital website to procure those services. You think about marketplaces like used to call it Black Pages, or Yellow Pages was also an example of where you could put your business in a marketplace, and people, when they're looking for that service, would be able to look it up and go and procure that service. So put yourself out there so that you can actually get customers or prospects to reach out and engage with you. Effective marketing strategies like networking, social media, and ads do help. My biggest bang for the buck, though, was in partnerships. So spending the time to find that right strategic partner could actually change your business exponentially. A quick example would be we would not market our cyber services, I guess, more traditionally, advertising and actually going on to Instagram, and we were not finding our ICP there, our ideal customer profile. We did one partnership 6 months ago with a consulting firm called Accenture. Not only have they given us more revenue in that short period of time than we've made in the entire year last year, they've also introduced us to E&Y, which is their competitor, right? So they're introducing us to their competitor, talking about this new diverse supplier that offers cybersecurity services, and how about, you know, you guys offering those services as well. And E&Y is now, or PwC introduced us to E&Y introduced us to Deloitte, and so now we have all these top tier consulting firms reselling our services for us, and we can more focus on refining those services, delivering those services, plus we get a higher ticket price, even though we're splitting those revenues with these large consulting firms. So something to think about if you're able to do so. Any questions about marketing or any of the components that I just talked about?
I think we're good to go, Darace. I actually have a few questions, but I don't want to take up the time. So you can go ahead with your presentation.
Please, let's do it.
Well, in terms of partnerships, I think that's one of the biggest ones. Partnerships, we know, it doesn't just happen like that. It happens over time, right? Because you have to be able to trust the people who you want to work with. What would you say would be, and vice versa, they have to be able to trust you. They have to be able to, you know, really believe in the product and services that you offer. What are some key, and again, I don't want to take away from your presentation, but what are some key, maybe just one or two items that you can highlight in terms of, you know, what is the key, the effective keys to building strong partnerships? Does that make
Excellent
sense?
question. It does make a lot of sense, and that's a great question. Thank you for it, and I encourage more from yourself and the people on the call. In my opinion, I think it's networking. And as somebody that really didn't enjoy networking, and like, what am I going to talk to these people about? And like, I always would find some excuse not to do it. And to be honest, what you have to do is be deliberate about the event that you're going to, seeing if you can get access to the list of the attendees who will be coming to that event. Research the list of it. And I know this is going to sound a little bit like creepy now, but you got to research a list of those people who've confirmed that they're going to the event. And what I would suggest is have a pitch ready for those potential clients or those potential partners. Here's what I do. Don't make it all about you. So it's like 30 to 90 seconds tops, but it's really geared to how you can add value or how we can get that value together, right?
Mm-hmm.
I would say you work on that, practice that pitch, right? Even if you have a friend who's another business person that you can reach out to. If you don't, you know, grab my link at the end of this, reach out to me. Just make sure that you have somebody who you can kind of bounce it off of, so that when you're there, you don't feel like a fish out of water. You don't feel like, you know, you have your pitch ready to go and you know who you're there to speak to. And then you can always fall back to, if those people don't attend, or if it's maybe rained and it's a little less people attend, now you can then make it all about you. So if you, for me, what happens is if I go and there's like a rain event or whatsoever, it's going to be the Oppos show right now. I'm going to go talk to everybody who came, find out what their business is. Is there anybody close to who I'm targeting? If not, at least we can get the awareness out there and build a relationship and see how we can add value and impart value. The other piece that I would say is it's not all about your business either. It's about going there to understand the room and how you can actually add value to the room. Very important. What happens when you start coming across as a person that wants to add value to others? For some weird reason, what I found is people start calling you and asking if you can't do this or help them out. It's a very weird thing that I'm still figuring out phenomenon, I'd call it. But I go trying to help, let's say Moy, because Moy is doing, Little Rock, and Little Rock needs some security, and it's not that it gets a target ICP, and but I just want to help Moy out, and so I give a little bit of time. Remember, time is important, time management. So you budget, you want to spend like 20 hours a week doing it, but maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours a week, you dedicate to actually helping somebody within your network with no financial return. I promise you will get the reason I'm invested in by the second largest investment bank in the planet is because of talks like this.
That's beautiful.
Right. So never lose sight of the community involvement and giving back. Just don't give it back to the point where you're not, you're putting your business at risk.
That's really great advice. Thank you for that. There's another question in the chat: how to target market to bigger companies, since not all businesses will search for certain types of services on social media.
Great question as well. So very good point. What you want to do there is do some research with purchasers in your business space. So if you're doing hair products, if you're doing restaurants, if you're doing food, like there's so many areas. For example, I was chatting with for my own family business with my family about, connecting with, what's it called? They call concierge services, or services that are looking to do lunches for different community events or different events in the community. Putting your company's name on that roster, like for example, the BDC, or that's the Business Development Bank of Canada, or let's say the City of Toronto, which also has a lot of meals that they produce, right? You have to kind of do the research. And a traditional B2C playbook that you'll find on HubSpot or maybe just Googling online is not necessarily the route I would go. I would go to the public library, to be honest with you, and find a book about branding and see product development or service development. One of the, sorry, I wonder if it's right here. I'm just trying to find a book actually that I can refer to for you. I will actually give it to you, Moy, after. There's a good book about mapping the service experience that the first chapter talks about, figuring out how big enterprise delivers to the community, because within that supply chain, there's an opportunity for small businesses. That's the first thing. The second thing you should know is all Fortune 100 companies have a mandate, especially since George Floyd, to spend with our community. So I just want that to resonate with people.
Say that again, if you don't mind.
So there is a large amount of B certified companies and companies that are trying to improve the discrepancy between Indigenous and Black-led companies and their supply chain, right? Coca-Cola is one of those companies. E&Y is one of those organizations. Accenture is one of those organizations, right? So it's about understanding which of those companies are looking to spend money with us, and then understanding what the requirements are to engage with the procurement departments of those companies. And there's another plug for like CAMC, which is a great group here, Miss Dorrington and her community. She's another Black lady who's trying to close that gap with suppliers from our community, getting up to become what's called a tier 3 or tier 2 supplier, and then going into these places like Procter & Gamble, Coca-Cola, and getting those budgets that they actually have set aside for us, but we're not aware of yet, right? So it's that research as well.
So where do we get that information? Again, I don't want to take away, but maybe you can share some resources afterwards of how we can get access to those companies who.
Yeah, CAMC is the best bridge. That's a CAMC. They would certify that you're Black owned and then, or minority owned, and then they basically go to all of they've already done the legwork of going to all these corporations and saying, why aren't you spending in our community? And now they've
Okay.
turned around and said, okay, here's the money for your community. Where are your suppliers? So now CAMC is like on the hunt for all these different suppliers, from textiles to food to cyber to, there's so many different areas where they have money to spend. And then the thing we don't want to have happen is, well, we put aside all this money, guys, and nobody in their
No one.
community had this, was there, right? And so have the conversation with the CAMCs, reach out to myself after, talk to other people who are kind of connected and plugged in. People always want to help, right? You do have to ask the questions. You got to be present to get the help.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that.
No problem. Any other questions from the chat?
Thanks for the resources. Yes, Colleen says thanks for the resources is what they said. Yeah.
Yeah, mapping experience. Exactly. That's the exact book.
Is that the book?
That's the book. Yo, Erica, that is awesome. Sorry, she just plugged it in there. This is exactly the book that I was recommending. Sorry, that was just like I'm so happy that that came up. So anyhow, yeah, that's the book, Erica. Mapping experiences, gaining alignment. It's a Bible. It's a Bible if you really are serious about matching your services, your products to customers, because there's something called product market fit. If you don't find it, you might as well just go find somewhere to work. I'm just being honest with you, because if you build something that you think is perfect, but the market doesn't, that's what happens. It's not a good thing at all. So the earlier you get out there talking to the community, figuring out what the needs are, and then proving out that product market fit in a small way before you go long on budget, best way to secure your financial future.
Wow, this is great information. I hope everyone's taking notes. Darace, thank you for that. Thank you.
No problem. No problem. Let me just put a little thumb under this here, a black thumb. I know all you guys have these different thumb. You know, you can change your color. Representation is everything here. You guys should all have the same skin tone. Just saying.
I appreciate that. I know how to do it on my phone, just not on the computer. So you can teach me later.
Yes, definitely will do. Definitely do. But moving on. So
Yeah.
let's get back to some other tools on the next slide. So where are some tools that I think everybody on this call could start taking advantage of today? Customer relationship management software, mapping those customer experiences to, you know, a prospect, a call, a lead, where they came from. It's very important to get that done early, because all of those metrics help inform your marketing spend. And the quickest place to go broke in this business, in my opinion, is marketing. I'll give you an example. I was so happy to get a card from BMO for $5,000 for 5.5 years ago for my business. I didn't even think it was going to happen. I did have to get the manager and everybody to sign off, but got a card. Took the card, went on to LinkedIn ads and Google ads. Moy, why is my card not working by the end of the day? My card was maxed out, $5,000 in it. We didn't have any revenue and the world had stopped. Remember, it's like the beginning of COVID, because I opened my business in June of 2019. Great time to start your business, by the way, during a crisis, because then you're really forced to figuring out how to get dollars in the door and not messing around. Anyhow,
Good advice.
that is how I learned the lesson of figuring out who we're marketing to and how ad dollars work. Because I went on to Google Ads and just said, oh, cybersecurity. And I do anything in cyber. And that's a massive market that people like, what's the name? Mandiant FireEye and SolarWinds and like these massive multi-billion-dollar companies, they're also advertising at that point. So you need to, in my opinion, find your niche, find, like, I'm operating in Toronto, maybe West Toronto, right? And then that way you can kind of get the ads down to a targeted spot within your community. And those ads, when they're engaged, even though they're cheaper, it's better value because the customers are touchable for you, tangible. You can go and have a conversation, drink a coffee. What do you think about this? And remember what I said earlier about your first 100 customers being your business partners, because they're helping to shape your product development lifecycle. That is also tied into it, right? So make sure when you're doing your ad spend, it's very local and scalable and manageable, and you're looking at your cost per click. It's super important for that. If you don't, there's a kid I know named ZZ Peters. He's also from our community, African brother. He's like an expert in the space. He doesn't mind to help, and he can always give you access to his platform, which is a marketing tool. Project management software. So we talked about building SMART goals and specific goals with dates and objectives and timelines and making them like attainable, right? Once you've gotten to the attainable task step level, you want to put them into a project management software. we have tools, and I'll get to them in the next slide, like Asana, Monday.com, Trello. These are all tools, so you're actually visualizing what you need to get done on a regular basis and looking at it. Even if it's on the background, even if you have it on the wall in your office, you need to see that every day and program your mind to getting to those objectives, or sometimes they'll never get done. Email marketing, also extremely important. Constant Contact, MailChimp, Sendinblue. These are all tools that have try before you buy programs. As I mentioned, if anybody's interested, I can also give you codes on the for Startup program. There's also a program called Google for Startups that I would also recommend. Now, these are time-based programs. And so what I recommend you do is strategically plan out what you're going to be accessing and when, and then be timely about and specific and conscientious about when you're engaging with these programs, so that you don't have to burn money or burn trial time without actually using it, right? Social media management is also important. Like, you have to, it's all about your brand, right? And so your digital imprint, your digital footprint, this is all your brand online. It's like, you know how you dress to go outside? You have a cream, your lotion in your hand, and make sure that your shoe polish. And it's the same thing with your social. You want to make sure that your social posture, your social profile is kind of up to the time, as they would say in my day. Then you're talking about your website analytics. So all of this that we're doing, talking to customers, managing projects, emailing and harassing them. Oh, one thing about email software, Canada has something called CASL. It's a Canadian anti-spam legislation. Make sure you understand and really read that legislation, because it could hamper your business before you even start. If you're spamming people that don't want you to email them, and there's a little bit of a dance that has to be done, or a tango, to digital marketing or email marketing. Please ensure that you read CASL, C-A-S-L, and understand its limitations. If you don't set some time for me, I can kind of walk you through it, or somebody on my team can walk you through it, because it's not a cyber issue per se, but it's a harassment issue. And if you get on the wrong side of the CASL team by the federal government, it's very difficult for you to kind of get back online. It's almost like they do it that way on purpose to punish you, and you don't want to have that punishment, right? So CASL, look at it, make sure your marketing software is aware that you're operating from Canada and can help you address it without having a violation. I see a question that may have come in. Oh, look at that. Thanks, Erica.
Thank you, Erica. Yes, thank you.
Got it, man. This is amazing. Okay, cool.
She's on a roll. Thank you so much for that.
I appreciate that, Erica. Thank you. All right, and then just getting into some tips. So we talked about CRM. So look at HubSpot, Sales. Okay, I wouldn't look at Salesforce just yet. Look at HubSpot and Zoho. Salesforce, the reason why I wouldn't look at it just yet is because Salesforce is probably, next to SAP, the best CRM software in the world. It's also one of the most expensive once you get locked in. They do have a Salesforce for startups, but it goes from like $99 a month to like $9,900 a month. And if you're not making those numbers, you'll have to probably find another one. So I would recommend like HubSpot and Zoho first. And then once you've maximize the use case for that, then you can lean to something like a Salesforce or like a business one from SAP. But it's important to be tracking that customer information, and everybody thinks they can do it in their mind. Worst case scenario, do it on an Excel spreadsheet with new tabs for every customer. But I do believe it's important to have it all in one system, so that you can actually start speaking to them with one consecutive message, because that's how you scale your products and services, by seeing one consistent message being adopted by one consistent ICP, or ideal customer profile, and now you can scale that into the market. Project management software, we've got tools like Asana, Monday.com, which we use here at Oppos, and Trello, which we use at Oppos on the development side, to help plan and manage projects. It's a style of management called Kanban. We have another one called Waterfall, Agile. These are all great different methodologies, but it's really just about getting stuff done. I know that we have some elders, so I'll call it stuff done, getting stuff done. Right? So you want to make sure that you're tracking that myopically, and that you have software looking at who's on first, who's on second, who should be delivering, so that you can you don't want your vision to be hampered by those on your team who aren't helping you to get done on it or deliver it. Email, we talked about Constant Contact, MailChimp, Sendinblue. These are SendGrid's another one that's really good. I'd recommend you leverage those. They typically have CASL built into them, so they're not going to go offside, because again, as a product, they realized that every Canadian client needed that feature, so they built it in. to their offering in Canada. So those tools will help you to stay on side. I still recommend reading it because it's up to their interpretation of the legislation. And if you're ever in a court situation, the judge is not going to say, well, you thought Constant or MailChimp or SendGrid knew what they were doing. It's on you. And then social media management, tools like Hootsuite, Buffer, and Sprout. We use a tool called Simplified. It's a little more technical, so I didn't put it on here in nature, but it is cheaper than those tools. Those tools, though, are, even though they have a bit of a premium price, will manage your social media for you like an existing person, I found. And we do use Hootsuite in some of our product social media management. Are there any other questions about some of the tools I've identified, or concerns, something that you didn't see that you wanted my thoughts on?
You know, Darace, what I'm looking at is, it sounds like, I mean, I've been doing the entrepreneurial thing for many, many years, so I'm familiar with a lot of these terms and a lot of these platforms. I've tried them, I've lost a lot of money on them, haven't been consistent with them and all of that. It seems like a lot. It really does seem like a lot. Where does one start? You know, just to the very simple,
The
basic
starting
way.
point,
Mhm.
the starting point for me would be a mind map. Like, before even getting into any of these tools, put down what it is you want to do in a mind mapping software. And then think about, from your idea, how's that idea going to be marketed? How's it going to be sold? How is it going to be delivered? What suppliers or vendors do you need? And then start mapping that out as an idea. This is where the term half-baked idea come, or harebrained idea, right? Sometimes we think of an idea, it's like, oh, that's a great idea, but then we have to think through the execution, right? It's not about the idea, it's about the execution of the idea. And the execution requires consistency, right?
Right.
If you be consistent every day, I promise you, you will achieve that goal. And if you're consistently not putting on a plan and not doing anything organized and not putting your stuff in the system and not talking to your customers, I guarantee you should be working for a company. You should not be in this space. And the sooner you come to that realization, is better for you and your family. Conversely, the sooner you're able to plan and take accountability for your time and your actions, the sooner you'll be able to kind of be the master of your own domain, in my opinion. And I can only give you my experience, right? The sooner I took things seriously and started looking at the finance thing and the accounting and asking, what does that CAGR thing mean? Like, getting into your business, things started turning around for me. I should say turning. We're always doing okay, but in a major way. Like, we can actually master our domain. And I think if you apply these tools, anybody can do the same thing, especially in this market.
Hmm. I'm loving this. And that's really great advice, by the way. It sounds harsh, but it so is true, right?
Yes, I'm sorry if I offended anybody, but I just wanted to be real and not have anybody waste their time. It's a tough, lonely road being a founder, but it can be fulfilling if you have your objectives and don't get taken down the road of shiny things. It's also about how to beat that shiny, they call it shiny thing scenario, where, oh wow, that's AI, oh blockchain, oh, and then you turn around and you have we started in AI and cyber 5 years ago, and now look at that, the whole market came around to where we are. Cyber is big, AI is big, all at the same time. And because we stayed focused on it and building it, now we're talking to the Accentures and the ENYs and the Microsofts and the Googles. We never had no business talking to them. You can ask Stephanie, right? But it's just because we stayed consistent on our vision. We saw our ICP and we followed through on our vision. And you can do the same. I'm going to continue now, though. I see a lot of hearts. I have a lot of love for what we're saying as well. Okay, so why? Why is it and how is it we're going to protect this business? So I got to give a little plug for what I do. Coming up to 20 minutes left on the time. So you don't want to spend the time building out your plan, getting your ICP, your market fit, you're talking to customers, you're in your community, you got your ecosystem going, and then boom, you get somebody open the email. Oh wow, there's a lottery, you win $1 million, yay! Or there's a new restaurant, we should just click on this link and wow, and all of a sudden nothing is working because you've been hit by a ransomware attack and they want all of the little money that you put together to go to market with, or maybe you raised from your friends and family. Now that's all at risk because we didn't do a few simple things, right? Other areas where it can impact us, right? We have to work twice as hard to get half as far, unfortunately. Financial losses come because, the Bitcoin thieves or the ransomware scammers want all of the money that they can get their hands on. Your reputation falls in the dirt because nobody trusts you anymore because you've lost trust. And then privacy violations. Last year we spoke about this, so I'll repeat it. the people in this country that you want to avoid the most in your business is not the CRA at all. It's actually the privacy commissioners. The provincial privacy commissioners can make your life a living hell, especially if you're using any resident or citizen information in your business. It's called PII, personal identifiable information. We all hold it as company owners. We need to know how we're handling it, and there should be a policy in your business to say how you handle your customers' information. Okay, that's the thing for the day. From like, what is your privacy policy and how are you handling your people's information? Cookies on your website. These are small things, but these are required things. And it's a privacy. If you get one privacy email and that privacy commissioner decides to take up this file, today it's not looking at us. I'll be fair. They want to make examples, so they're looking for the Fortune 10 and the Fortune 50. But if we're flying in the in the eyes of their legislation and they so choose to, they can't pick up and come after us. Now, conversely, going to the privacy commissioners and telling them about your privacy program could be a way for you to help market your products and services, right? So I have an excellent relationship with the Ontario Privacy Commissioner's Office. They help plug me into the TMU. TMU is now out in accelerating and incubating our company, Oppos, that helped us to get the investment from the investment bank in New York. So I'm showing you how you can leverage your security posture to actually be a marketing method, right? I have this security, SOC 2, let's say, is one, or ISO is another. I have these accreditations, so now you know I'm secure, and that's a marketing tool. So how can we simply protect our business? I talked a lot about acronyms and castles, and here are 5 super simple things that everybody on this call can do today, right? Use complex passwords. Password is not a complex password. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 is not a complex password. Your kid's name on your kid's birthday is not complex. Come up with a complex password. If you don't have one, my website has a generator. Just go to the Oppos password generator. We don't capture it. You just generate your password, make it long, make it strong, and your days will be merry. Okay? Next one, keep your software updated. Every so often, I was at my mom's the other day for Thanksgiving. Oh, this thing keep coming up on the screen. I just keep clicking no. Update your computer. Super important, right? Set it to auto update. You can actually time it to do it on weekends at 3 in the morning, or whenever you're not available or not using it. Do it for that time, but make sure that your software is always updated, because that is actually intended to protect you from these security issues. Use a firewall. There's like a plug and play firewall. Usually if you have like a software or an ISP, internet provider like Bell or Rogers, you have a firewall built into your router. Use that firewall, right? If you don't know how to configure it, give me a call. I have a tool actually that we've designed for small businesses, or mostly lawyers use it, but I'd be happy to share it with the community, that monitors the traffic coming across your tenant or into your office. You have to have some way of knowing if you're under attack or not. The problem that a lot of us have realized in the cyber industry is 3/4 of the time, by the time you find out you've been hacked, it's like 6 months after they've been in your network. Use updated antivirus software. These are like, if you have Windows, just turn on Windows Defender. It's very easy. You just go into by the clock, or you go to the search, Windows Defender, antivirus, turn on. It's very simple now. It's not rocket science anymore. It's very easy. And the last piece, or I think it's easy. If you are challenged by doing it though, don't hesitate to reach out to myself. I do know some small business desktop support people I could refer you to, or if it's something I could refer you to an online document where you can follow and kind of do that work yourself. And then backing up your data consistently. So as I just mentioned to Moy, if you back it up once a month or once a year, you might as well not back it up. It has to be backed up at least once a week, at least once a month, and at least once a year. So we call it I do mine daily too, but my wife thinks I'm a bit anal. But anyhow, weekly, monthly, yearly, you need those backups. Reason being is, once you have a ransomware attack, you can only restore to the last point in time that you've backed up cleanly, right? And so you want to make sure that you're backing up the clean instances of the clean snapshots of your environment, if that makes sense. Because after the ransomware is available on it, it's kind of polluted then, or contaminated with this ransomware, right? So you want to make sure you're backing up with your information as much as possible. An Oppos, so yeah, we definitely. Well, I see. So I did not draft this. This came from my AI and my EA. So she's always about talking about Oppos. So what we do at Oppos is help companies to maintain cybersecurity compliance. And if you have any questions, my number's at the end. The conclusion is like cyber is very important. Business optimization is very important, especially for our community to protect themselves from cyber threats and operate efficiently. A lot of the times we don't have access to this information because of representation. We're just not in these rooms. And so you can consider me your secret cyber ninja. And all of these points I'm telling you will actually save and improve your business and help you make money. Now, if you do know of anybody that does need cybersecurity or privacy or just wants to chat about it from a business or a commercial perspective, I'd be more than happy to take the referral from you and help that organization. And I'd be honored to do it on your behalf. And here's my LinkedIn. If anybody wants to add me to if you're on LinkedIn, if not, and you're a business person, I would strongly recommend getting on this platform because it is like a business Facebook and a lot of contacts are made on here. There's also my phone number, email for the company, and our social. Oh, we still have the bird. She turned to an ex marketing guy now doing more. Anyway, that is how you can contact us. And now I want to open up the floor for 12 minutes of questions and interaction.
First, let me say thank you. That was quite informative. Thank you so much for that, Darace.
Oh, no problem, Moy.
Yeah.
As I said earlier, I love to talk with the community. I think it's like we all have a right to do so. Like we should be doing it more often.
Absolutely. And I will be reaching out to you as soon as I possibly can to really just go through some sort of like consultation with you, because I mean, you've given us all this information now, which is really great, but it's like, okay, where do we start? But I think sitting down with someone like yourself it will help with that process, right?
100%. Absolutely. I encourage it. Please do.
So, Darius, sorry, if you can just tell a little bit more about the consultation for small businesses. Is that specifically, I know you've opened up to say that you will offer advice, but do you do specifically consultation for small businesses or startups?
Yeah, that's really our target ideal customer profile. We help startups to maintain, specifically in the healthcare vertical, to maintain regulatory compliance so that they can sell into larger systems. But we've also done the same for restaurant owners, lawyers and law firms, medical clinics. So we nursing homes now as well. We're most recently added to the Point Click Care Marketplace, which is like for all the nursing homes in North America. So we do small business. It's just how we go after it now is a little different. We try to go to like small business association in the States as opposed to knocking on doors, right? And so that's where I was saying, if you go to where the small businesses are coming already for help, for people like me, then you can scale up your services and products much faster. But yeah, absolutely, we do small business. That's our bread and butter, actually.
Thank you. And that's great business advice, by the way.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Any other questions? I saw Michael there. He had his camera on. I don't know if he has a questions, but feel free to put your questions in the chat. Darius is here to answer them. It's a lot of information and it can be overwhelming to the person who's not as technically savvy, but it's so necessary, right? It's such an important but necessary conversation that we're having today.
Yeah, and for me, that is feedback for me too. Like I can, working with you, if you set a time, I can then figure out how can I make this information more consumable, because it's not my intention to like confuse or have it not like resonate that this is something for you. I want to meet you where you are with it, right? So let's reach out, have a conversation. I don't have a lot of time because I am in the middle of a little bit of a transition. We're moving the company to the States and stuff like that. But I would love to kind of help and make it a little bit more resonating, or as my daughter would say, have it hit better. And this is like a new thing now. They say hit as opposed to like being cool or whatever. So I'm trying to make sure that my presentation hits, as they say.
I didn't know that. I learned something new today, but no, it was very great. It was very lucid and easy to understand for, like I said, individuals maybe like myself. It's been 18 years in the game for me, but we do have those individuals who are just starting up, even the older folks too, who are sort of opposed to technology and AI and all this new stuff.
Yeah.
And of course, I think it would be difficult to help everybody, on the level that they're at. But I think, it's great. It's great to be a part of a session like this, just to get the information and then take it one step at a time, right?
Absolutely, yeah. And start where you stand. And as I say, it's more important to do consistent small steps than to have overarching big steps and then nothing come of it. So I think it's all about the small steps and being consistent every day, getting to that routine, and then before you know it, the world's your oyster, kind of thing.
Absolutely. So we're still waiting for any questions in the chat. You know, there was something that you said though, Darius, regarding the networking process, because networking, we've been doing that for quite some time. Someone's asking for your contact information again.
Yeah, I'm just gonna
Um,
post it on there and leave it there while we're chatting, if that's okay.
Perfect. Yes, no, that's great. So networking is, I actually love networking, by the way, but sometimes I'm not always intentional. And I think you did a really great job today in terms of, you know, really being strategic, even with the networking process, like before going to the event, mapping out the attendees, looking at, you know, which businesses or organizations align with your mission and your organization and what you're trying to offer, and then approaching it from that way. I think that's really key advice as well. Because how often do we go into a networking event and literally we could have access to some incredible businesses that we can potentially partner with,
Yep.
but we're not strategic and we're not
Yeah.
intentional. You know, we haven't taken time to really look at how to do what we want to do, right? So that was really great information that you've shared.
Yeah, I see Angel has his hand up, but before I answer, I would say that I've been doing the same. I've been going to these events since my parents have been carrying me to these events since I was a child, but I never started becoming intentional until I'd say maybe 2 years ago after having the conversation with a mentor of mine. And it kind of changes how you think about things, because we're already in these rooms and the buyers are already there, right? It's about how we message that to that buyer so they are excited, interested, and desire to act on, you know, what we have to offer. But yeah,
That's good.
Angel, what's happening?
It's actually Michael,
Oh,
Therese.
Michael.
I'm just piggybacking on Injustice. Just a direct question to you, because at the back end of what you're saying here, your company is transitioning to the States. You know, and as I
Yes.
think about all the, you know, the computer stuff you just mentioned and what have you, I just wonder, is it a physical transition? Because I thought we do things virtually right now, you know, so I am, you know, it would be nice right to hear from you if that transition is something you could do here, like a virtual stuff, because all these AI and all this stuff, or is it a physical transition in this electronic here?
So it's a bit of both, and so that's a great question. You said Michael's the name, right?
Yeah, Michael.
Yes, Michael. Thank you for your question. So just to clarify for everybody else, the question I heard was, because I heard that you're moving to your company to the States. Is there any reason why you're not staying in Canada? And because it's a virtual company, it's a technology company, why not stay in Canada and then offer your services to the States? So I will say, Michael, you are 75% correct. So when I say that is, I'm physically, like, I talk to my family, like my children and my wife. So they're not going to the States. They have said this. They don't want to, you know, between the high schools being crazy and, you know, my wife has her own little ecosystem here or network and community. So 25% of our time will be spent here in Canada. I'm repurposing the Canadian entity, and this is a little bit like a legalese thing, but we're repurposing the Canadian entity to become like Oppos Research and Development. We're partnering heavier with the schools now. So U of T, like there's going to be an announcement in probably 2 weeks that University of Toronto's Health Tech Accelerator, which is called Bio, is partnering with Oppos 100% to do all of their cohort companies' cybersecurity and compliance efforts. And we're doing the same at Seneca. We're working with Mohawk. We just started with Western. We're getting in with Waterloo. And so that's going to be the Canadian entity, because what I've found is and you should know, Michael, too, that a US bank invested in us like 6 weeks ago and basically said, you could stay in Canada if you want, but, you know, I'll just give you what they said to me in the room, and my business partner can keep me honest on this. They said there's like something like $150 trillion in the economy, the global economy, right? 10% of it's controlled by JP Morgan Chase, Morgan Stanley, and Goldman Sachs. One of those banks invested in our company, and they've said that the people that invest in them for that 10% of the money on the world like American companies, because it's a neck to school. It's like they just want that entity to be US so they can feel good to invest in it. And they love BlackBerry and they like Corel and they like Mitel and they like Nortel, but they just want it to be based in the States. And you can fly down. It's just a charter document change, right? And
Just wanted
so,
to be certain as you talk about all the IT as a small, mid-sized business that virtual, I mean, to me, one of the upside of the COVID is that it has demonstrated and confirmed that I can sit right at my desk here and do a lot of work in Jamaica. I had a problem with my clients down there because they believe I had to fly down and sit in a boardroom. So as I listen to all the stuff you're doing, it just sounds to me like, it's a brick and mortar thing you have to take down to the States. And I just wanted to be clear that
yes,
you have an
that's
option to do otherwise.
you have an option. And it's interesting you mentioned that, Michael. Maybe we should talk offline. And this is how things happen to the rest of the team. I'm demoing to design privacy, our system, on Friday. I don't know. You sound like you're working in Jamaica. So do you know design privacy? There are a set of privacy lawyers that have been entrusted to help implement the DPA, which is a very big thing right now in Jamaica, right? So we're pitching to the PMO to actually maintain that program for them, and we're actually offering them a $0 deal for the first 6 months to kind of win that work. But yes, the short answer to you is yes. The long answer to you is you have to go spot the money day, So for me, once I had that that discussion, I called Steph. I said, Steph, I don't know how I'll be here. But
Repeat that for the Canadians in the chat. Can we,
it's
the audience?
It's a smaller market. Like our market is like 40 million people, right? And you go down to the States, there's like 350 million people. And they are like the sales cycles in Canada are like, okay, Darace, can you do that presentation one more time? I want to see it one more time. Whereas when I get to slide 3, it's like, I heard enough. Where's the money? Yeah, okay, can you take my money? It's just a different market, Michael. And so I thought that was an anomaly. And then I go down to, another location and somebody tells me from Google, for example, are you the guys that Morgan Stanley just invested in? We want to get in. So it's very different. So now we're partnering with Google, Microsoft, all in 2 weeks.
No, I'm okay. I'm okay, guys. I just wanted to be certain that as we sit here as Black folks talking about small business and all the AI and all the electronic things we can do, that the guru wasn't just moving brick and mortar down to the States. Because I
No,
know.
no, not at all. But it just made sense for me and what we're doing, right? But no. I think it's about optimizing using the tools that we have. But I would also say if you have a product or a service that can be marketed into the US, do yourself that favor. Register with the CAMCs and the Aboriginal Supplier Councils and all that, because they actually have the same in the States. I'll say that again. I said earlier that a lot of these Fortune 100 companies operating in Canada have budgeted money for diverse suppliers. Okay, period. Now, other sentences, the same is happening in the US. Okay, and a lot of, just like here in Canada where a lot of people don't know what's happening, same thing happening in the States where they have multi-million-dollar budgets available to be deployed to our community, but there's nobody at the table to grab it. And then what ends up happening, we're lucky that we have a lot of people from our community in positions of power to say, no. You're not going to pull that one on and say that you have all this money available and then nobody's there for it. How are you developing the suppliers to get there? So the program, for example, that I'm in is a specific program led by a woman who happened to be the chairman of an investment bank for 40 years. And she is very intentional about putting Black men in these positions, right? And I had to research that program and apply like hell to get into it. We're one of 20,000 companies for that one spot, or 10,000 companies, I think. But now I'm in a position where like it's actually, what's the word I'm looking for? She's trying to create an old boys club for us and brown people as well. But you have to look out, search it, research her, find. So all this stuff I said about researching, trying to get in with her and all that, that all plays into getting to that promised land. Again, one thing to take away from that is if you have a product or service that can somehow be marketed to the US, please do it as soon as you possibly can. Don't worry about the craziness and the gunman and all. We come from the Caribbean. We're used to these things. Just sell your product down there, you'll be fine.
I absolutely love it. Darace, it's been such a pleasure just to listen to you and just to really just grasp the incredible content that you're giving us today, or you've given us today. Thank you so much for your time. We have ran out of time. Michael, thank you for the questions, and thank you for everyone who's entered your comments in the chat. Thank you. This has been incredible. Darace, you've done a great job. We do have some final announcements before you all leave us today. So Empowering Black Entrepreneurs BDC's program, that's happening next week, October the 18th. I have the pleasure of speaking with Fatiha and Sola. So please join us next week. And BADE's Thursday is opening with a bang. Join us for a roundtable panel of BADE success stories. That's happening on October the 12th. 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. What date is it today? I guess that's Thursday. That would be tomorrow, right? That would be tomorrow. So join us tomorrow, October the 12th from 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. And then Chanel Smith is back on October the 14th with Shaquille Hall. They're going to be speaking on credit repair techniques and negotiations. Okay, and we've said this several times before, but I hope you won't get tired of it. Please, please keep in touch with us online at the BBP and on our social media platforms. We're on Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook. We also have a YouTube channel where you can catch all of our recordings. So please feel free to follow us, like our content, engage in our content, share the content. Because we just need to, right? This is why we're here. We're here to learn and grow, and we need to share. Sharing certainly is caring. So thank you once again on behalf of the BBPA, everyone. It's been an absolute pleasure. Darace, once again, thanks again for your time. I will certainly be in touch with you. And so many nuggets that you've shared, even within that very last of you and Michael, speaking. So I'll certainly reach out to you. But thanks again, everyone. God bless you, and I'll see you next week. Take care.
God bless everybody. All the best. Take care. Thank you.